Good morning, everybody. Right on time, 9 o'clock. Do we have any public speakers?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We have 4 members of the public registered to speak
Yes,
today.
okay.
As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that, in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware of the clock in the front of the room and the warning light you will see, reminding you that you have 30 seconds left to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Jason Anthony. Following will be Charlton D'Souza, followed by Murray Bowden.
Good morning, Danny. Good morning, David. Happy holidays.
Thank you, and good morning to you, too. Always good to see you with a smile.
Nice to see you too, David. Jason Anthony here. Another month, this time in person. Danny, why you guys don't change the traffic patterns to the Queens Midtown Tunnel in Manhattan? Because every time I go through there, especially on the Manhattan side, it's a nightmare. Especially on 2nd Avenue and 34th Street, because it's always a traffic nightmare. Every time that I take the M34 Select bus service, either the regular or the A, it takes me over 30 minutes to get from Midtown West to Midtown East. It takes me forever to take to my doctor's appointments due to the traffic patterns of the Queens Midtown Tunnel. Why you guys don't come out to another alternative to the traffic patterns that drivers don't make a left when they are at 2nd Avenue to access the Queens Midtown Tunnel? Because every time that I walk north on 2nd Avenue between 34th and 38th Street, I see drivers making left to access the Queens Midtown Tunnel instead of making right to access the Queens Midtown Tunnel. Why you guys don't change the traffic patterns to access the Queens Midtown Tunnel? That make it easier to alleviate traffic along 34th Street and 2nd Avenue. Because it will make it much easier to alleviate traffic, especially on a major crosstown street like 34th Street. I'll see you guys on the commuter rails.
Thank you. The next speaker is Charlton D'Souza, followed by Murray Bowden.
Good morning, everyone. Charlton D'Souza, president of Passengers United. And what I want to talk about is how is congestion pricing going to be implemented properly? Because you have so many people around the city with license plates that they have tape on them, they're painting them, they're blocking the numbers, and the MTA is losing money from toll evaders. So this is something that really has to be cracked down on. I don't think it's fair that someone gets arrested in the subway. Obviously, we have to get subway crime under control. I understand that. But at the same time, you have, hundreds of people every day dodging the tolls on the roadways. And that is going to lead to a financial really bad problem down the road. So we have to get this under control. And also we need to figure out, with the exemptions now and all the stuff has to be figured out. I think New Jersey, like I said before, should get some funding for the PAT train and for New Jersey Transit if we are to make congestion pricing successful. And we also have to give Connecticut some money as well. So like this, because their drivers are coming in the city, they shouldn't have to, take up the burden. And also we need to really improve our express bus service. And this is with all the redesigns. And I think the LIE, the Brooklyn Battery, all these bridges and tunnels, they need to have better bus lanes. That is something that really the MT needs to work on, at least for next year. Otherwise, the gridlock, the holiday gridlock that we've all been experiencing, it is bad out there. The other day I was stuck on a bus for like 35 minutes coming into the Midtown Tunnel. So yeah, we've got to get that traffic under control. Well, hopefully another week or so it'll be under control. I just wanted to wish all of you, David and the whole committee, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Murray Bowden, followed by Christopher Greif.
Well, for more years than I care to remember, I've been standing here saying, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? Why don't you fix the road lines? I've been talking about the wrong problem. The real problem is this little thing. It's a receptacle. It goes on the wall where you plug everything in. Danny, turn around. Right behind you is this little thing. There's only one thing wrong with that one behind you. The law says the hole has to be on the bottom, not at the top. If you look at the card, it says, check it out yourself. The building code, you all know that when you plug something in now, the cord is a flat cord. It isn't straight out anymore, and it all points down. So why is the one behind you right there? Turn around. It's up. The hole's up. Because I had somebody check it before I thought of this. And that's the story of the road lines. Those traffic engineers have been doing it wrong for years and years and years, and nobody bothered said the hole has to be on the bottom. Danny, you're the president. It's your team that's making the mistake. As I said to Rick Cotton, it's your job to fix. That's what we pay you for. Your team is breaking the law with the road lines. If you can't get your team in order, Dave, you'll have to get a new president from Bridges and Tunnels. Danny, it's your responsibility to make sure that team follows the law as currently written. Yeah, there are errors in the manual. We'll fix them. But start at the one, this early dementia, fellas. As it's written now, with its errors, follow it, because there's enough in there. Start to change. I'll be back.
Thank you. The next speaker is Christopher Greif.
Good morning. I'm Christopher D. Greif. Happy holidays to everyone. I want to thank the Bridge and Tunnels because due to the fact the work had to be done on the Marine Park Bridge, there was plenty of notices going out to other parts of Brooklyn to warn customers that the bridge will be closed from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I do want to thank that was being done because there were some issues with the Marine Park Bridge, especially the Q35 bus. Thank God we did have a detour for that bus during those times. So I do want to thank Bridge and Tunnels on that because that bridge is the one that goes from Queens to Brooklyn, but I would call it the back end of Queens into the front part of Brooklyn, which is a upside down, confusing way. But the bottom line was the work had to be done, electrical work had to be done because of winter season. There was always some issue with the bridge getting stuck or getting non-stuck. Especially, I do want to wish everyone a happy holidays. And again, thank you, Bridge and Tunnels, for fixing the Marine Park Bridge because a lot of people were pleased on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes the public comment.
Okay. Again, also, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, healthy one too. I need an approval of the minutes. I need a motion. Any questions, corrections? Andrew, nothing today? Okay, good. Okay. Committee Chair, President Danny, will you take care of the agenda?
Thank you, Chair Mack. So just to start off about changes in the committee work plan, annually in December, this meeting, the B&T committee work plan for the following year is proposed, and then any changes are approved in the January meeting. B&T's proposed 2023 work plan starts on page 8 of the committee book and has been updated with the following changes to the committee agenda. The November 2022 financial report is included in this month's committee materials. Reporting of the final review of the 2022 year-end operating results will occur in May of 2023, which is consistent with the reporting of the other agencies. The third quarter 2022 diversity report for bridges and tunnels is included in this month's committee materials. I've been advised that there will be an MTA-wide diversity report provided by the Department of Diversity and Civil Rights at the Diversity Committee. With that being said, I'll start on my December remarks. So good morning. Thank you. So good morning and welcome to the December 2022 MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. I would like to start this final B&T committee meeting of 2022 by acknowledging the efforts of B&T employees throughout yet another challenging year. From the early Omicron variant surge to the current more normal, our workforce focused on the goals set forth in early of 2022, which was customer and employee safety, an improved customer experience, revenue recovery and protection of critical toll revenue that B&T generates, which supports more than ever mass transit. As the year progressed and our traffic rebounded to pre-pandemic levels, we found ourselves getting back to basics, all while ensuring a high level of service, whether in the field or the back office. I'm very proud of this agency and recognize the team's tremendous efforts, especially as we adapted and changed with each new challenge. As we close the door in 2022, I'd like to touch upon some of the milestones and achievements based on the goals that I outlined. Safety. Relative to safety of our employees and customers, our overall collision rate so far this year has improved from 2021 by a little over 1%. When compared to 2019, we are seeing a 36% improvement. So when you look at the traffic from 2019, record-breaking traffic, and where we are today, that shows that the work we've done since 2019 through the pandemic is still there, with a 1% below last year. Our employee lost time injury rate has also improved year over year, which Eric will go through in a little while in the safety report. Regarding customer experience, our workforce in the field kept pivoting throughout the year to accommodate challenging traffic trends during the COVID-19 cycles as the traffic rebounded to pre-pandemic numbers. So getting back to basics, providing timely and correct customer messaging, quick response to disabled vehicles and other incidents, maintaining clear roadways and clean facilities. All these things are noticed by customers and underscore a sense of safety and a security for our customer environment. So I'm proud to say that going back to basics, and when we go through our maintenance report in a couple of months, you'll see the work that was being done throughout the course of the year to keep those facilities clean and safe. Revenue recovery and protection. We have a layered approach to revenue recovery and protection, utilizing all B&T departments and coordinating with our city and state law enforcement partners and other agencies such as the New York Department of Motor Vehicles. Through these efforts, we are moving the needle in the right direction on covered obstructed license plate enforcement. I look forward to sharing more of these achievements in 2023 and providing some detail as we close out the year. For now, I'd like to share that our enforcement of persistent toll violators whose registrations have been suspended has resulted in a $20 million recovery so far this year, which is the highest single-year recovery and 1/3 of the $60 million that we have recovered since 2016. Again, more on those stats in the coming months as we close out the year. Shifting to current news, on the last day of November, we passed a noteworthy milestone with 300 million vehicle crossings. In comparison, our record highest traffic year of 2019, with more than 330 million crossings, we also reached that 300 million mark in late November. So we're on track to that pre-pandemic record-breaking year. As I mentioned, 2022 was a productive year on all accounts for B&T, and I would like to thank all of our employees for their hard work and dedication across operations, maintenance, security, and safety and health. I also want to acknowledge the expanding role of the Intelligent Transportation Systems and Tolling team for their fine work and heavy lifting they've been doing, especially over the past year. In addition, I'd like to extend gratitude to our consolidated business partners, chiefly Construction and Development, Human Resources, Labor Relations, Law and Procurement, the Office of Management and Budget, as well as many departments within MTA headquarters. We work closely with them every day and appreciate their support of our mission. I would also like to thank all of you, our commissioners, the entire MTA board, and Chair Jana Lieber for your ongoing guidance and support throughout the year. I speak on behalf of all my senior staff when I say we look forward to working together again next year with you and hopefully to share some new achievements and milestones. Finally, I wish everyone a peaceful, safe, healthy, and festive holiday season and a happy new year. This concludes my remarks. If there are no questions, I'll throw it to Vice President and Chief of Operations, Rich Hildebrand, for the report on operations. Any questions? Commissioner?
No, but I'm just going to make a comment. Danny, congratulations to you and Rich. You've done a great job. And I personally have been here 30 years or so more. Congratulations to both of you. I know you're both a long time. But we do need more bridge and tunnel officers. The fare evasion is wild. The covered plates, the defamed plates painted over. I see it all the time. I'm in the city. I'm in Long Island. I'm in New Jersey. And all I can tell you is that we need more bridge and tunnel officers. We can't depend upon, unfortunately, the police department or the MTA. They have, MTA police, they have a more important job to do, and that's to protect our transit system. And we can't distract from that. So let us all get on the same bus and car, and let's put in for it. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Mack.
So Commissioner,
Chair.
I'm sorry. I just want to, Commissioner, I'm sorry. I see you on the screen. Just to speak to what Commissioner Mack says, you stole a little bit of my thunder. So I was waiting for this year to come to a close, and because the numbers are always coming in. So when we're sending people toll bills and people are going through toll lanes, it's not an automatic, like a toll booth back in the day when we knew exactly what was coming and going. So it takes a little while for the numbers to develop. But when I said we're moving the needle, looking at the covered and obstructed plates, I agree with you. More enforcement is better. That's why we've been working closely with our consolidated partners in law enforcement throughout the year. You saw me back in May hold up a clear, protected plate cover, saying that this is illegal if this is on your car. Because part of that was the education piece. So there's an enforcement piece and an education piece. And all the consolidated partners in our for our regional policing and law enforcement, which is the state police, the sheriff's office, the New York City Police Department, state police, Port Authority police, looking at this specific cause of covered plates for different reasons, right? Because a covered plate is not specific to tolling, but it does impact tolling because there's a whole bunch of reasons why people cover their plates. So having that push in May, working with Department of Motor Vehicles, working with the Motor Vehicle Commission in New Jersey, I could say that the needle started to move. And talking to my tolling group, we were able to bill another 1 million transactions compared to last year. And that could equate to another $10 million that we wouldn't have had last year. So I'm not lighting the cigar. I'm not running it off and taking my helmet off and screaming to the fans. But I just wanted to make a point that those efforts, and next month I'm going to go into a little more detail because a whole layered approach when it comes to that. But we are seeing that. So I applaud and I thank you for your support because, yes, the enforcement piece is a big piece of that. And again, it's a layered approach. And having all the regional partners working on one effort is that helps us. So, but thank you. I'm sorry. There was somebody on the screen.
Hi, Danny. Danny, this is Midori Valdivia. Can you hear me okay? Great. So
Yes.
One, I wanted to extend my gratitude to all of you, the senior management team, but the people out in the field doing work. I know the snow season is coming up, and so I know there's a lot that you will all have to tackle. So Danny, your senior team, the amount of professionalism that you always show, and your responsiveness to the commissioners, really applaud that. So thank you so much. And then two, I understand you have big goals for 2023. 2023, given some of the data that you gave me back in November regarding traffic counts and how congested our bridges and tunnels are. Would love to talk more about, the different ways that we would alleviate that and reduce travel times for all, because, they are paying a toll, and we also have to make sure that we're working to reduce congestion. So thank you so much to your team for that. And I just wanted to voice my appreciation.
No, thank you. And that'll definitely be part of the narrative coming in 2023. Thank you so much. Commissioner Albert?
So on this toll evasion fiasco that's going on everywhere, are photographs taken of the offending vehicles, and are time of day and day of week checked to see if these are repeat offenders, and then you maybe could catch them when they come back at a specific time or day?
I'm going to answer that. I've been with 3 police departments, law enforcement, for the last 60 years in management. Andrew, you cannot track the plate. The only way you can get them is if you are there when the crime commits. Time, effort, the numbers are blocked. So
That's why I asked,
yeah,
do you take a
no-
photo of the car so you have the color,
Absolutely.
the description?
So, right, so what Commissioner Mack is saying, so we call it unbilled, right, because we're not getting a DMV hit back.
Right.
But through the task force that we put together, so during the course of during COVID, we saw an increase of these covered plates. We asked our regional police partners, you seeing the same thing? The city, the state, everybody was seeing the same thing. Sheriff's office, right? So we said, okay, how can we combat this? How can we look at this? So when we put the task force together, which is basically all my department heads and their representatives, we looked at the tolling group looking at patterns, traffic patterns. So although we couldn't get a hit, like Commissioner Mack is saying, we're able to look at when are we seeing the most, when's the time and the place where we see the most unbillable coming through. And then we would put our resources there. So to give you an example, back in June of 21, when we put together our task force, when we started seeing this increasing, within 30 minutes, we arrested 3 people for a fraudulent plate. And it was based on not these direct plate because we couldn't pick it up, but it was based on information of when they were coming through and what facility. So we said, okay, we saw it at this time. We put 6, 7 officers up there, and we made 3 arrests in a half hour.
The reason I asked that was, if somebody obscures their plate in the Hugh Carey Tunnel toll area, and then you catch that same, by camera, that same vehicle evading the toll on the RFK later in the day, you have the car description. Could you then wait for that car at
That's how we use that information. And we're looking at ways that when we do get them on the plaza, because now we have an interdiction, we're getting their pedigree now.
Excellent.
And now we can look back and work with our tolling unit, and it's very labor intensive, but we have been back charging when we can. So that's why I always say we're chasing the money. So we're chasing the money in different ways.
Sounds like you know what you have to do. Sounds great. Thank you.
Andrew, and it is big money, the tolls. I travel back and forth from Jersey. My office is Jersey, Queens, and Long Island. I mean, it is just outrageous. But again, there is no solution except more bridge and tunnel officers to enforce not only the plates, for safety. There's no substitute for a uniform to deter any type of crime. No substitute. And that's 60 years.
One more question. They used to have it for toll evasion when you went through a booth and you didn't pay, something lit up. Is there anything like any sound or any special light happening when a vehicle goes through and their plate is obscured, which is the same as not paying, for instance?
Right, not specifically for a plate being covered, but our persistent toll violator enforcement uses license plate reader technology, and an alert goes right into the officer's vehicle for the persistent toll violator. That's not specific to the
The officer's vehicle is nowhere near that crossing, though, right?
The officer's vehicle could be anywhere on the facility and
Could
would
be
get a
anywhere.
ping to the car for the persistent toll violator. A lot of the other enforcement's done by observation and by the metrics that I described.
Right. Thanks.
Commissioner Glucksman, you had something?
when you finally get the person who's evaded the tolls, what they have to pay is exactly that amount plus fees. You don't do discounts or anything when negotiations. They just have to pay whatever.
Well, there's different ways. So when we send a bill, it's similar to getting your cable bill, your phone bill, right? So if you don't pay for a while and then we send you fees, people may call and talk to our customer service department and say, hey, I owe this, I owe that. Can I reconcile this? That's above and beyond what we're asking for. I'm asking for the toll. I want the toll. So as long as I get the toll money, that means I'm getting 100% of what you're supposed to owe me. Everything else is the fees. That's part of the layered approach of combating the toll evasion.
Sure. Thank you very much.
You are. I don't know who was first. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for all this information. Have you seen any reason why or patterns that people say that they are engaging in this behavior? Is it people that just want to just get slick? Or is it people that are saying, I'm in financial hardship, therefore I'm unable to pay, but I still need to make it to my place of work or something else? Are there patterns or reasons why people are telling, once they get caught, that they are doing this?
So I know from reading the reports that Richie's group in operation sends me, but I mean, Rich, if you want to elaborate a little bit, but I know we get the spontaneous statement that the motorist makes and we record that. So we've heard from, I know I'm just about, well, the checks in the mail. Okay, that's a big one. I know I owe you money. I have no idea, this is in my car. Like, these are the type of things we hear. On the other end, to answer your question specifically, through our customer service center, yes, I've seen complaints, not complaints come in, but inquiries come in of people saying that, maybe I lost my job, or this happened, or that happened, and then those are investigated and looked at through the customer service center. No, I didn't see that one yet, that they stole the car, no.
This is petty theft, but it's rampant.
Commissioner Brown, you had something? Sorry.
Yeah, not much. Congratulations. It's a lot of scroll you're collecting there. I'm curious as to so when you bust a guy for obscured plate, or I don't know, some bust is probably a overstatement. You summons a guy over an obscured plate. Is he just liable for the fine for that element, or do you go back and trace how many we've seen of this particular distorted plate? I mean, you're going in the right direction. I haven't heard any of this from any of the other agencies, but I'm sure Port Authority must have similar operation. But it's a lot of money,
Just what Commissioner Albert was asking, similar to that question a little bit. So with the covered plate, and we thank the governor. So it wasn't last November before that, the fines were increased for covered obstructed plates. So that helps us. And there's other legislation out there we're putting out there to try to combat this. But if we do see someone with like I mentioned before, a covered plate, and we have them, and we're getting their pedigree now, we have them on our facility. We do make special cases where it goes to our tolling group, and our tolling group looks at these, and we could bill them back. So we could bill them for maybe not as many, and maybe not every single one, but we can go back and start to bill them for what they might have owed us based on the pictures that are being taken. So we're looking at that. That's part of our laid approach. Rich, anything additional to that, or?
No, it's just when you don't get a hit on the plate because it's obstructed or modified, we don't have that frame of reference. But patterns, we do identify some patterns and look at it. And in certain cases, we can, kind of backtrack.
Port Authority, I'll tell you what they do. As a former Port Authority commissioner, they have a police officer, Port Authority police officer on every toll. So, and as soon as they see an obstructed plate on the camera, it flashes, as well as a no hit on a Easy Pass, someone that hasn't paid. As I said, they have a camera and they have a police officer there. And sometimes I see 2 or 3 officers because I go over the bridge at least 3 or 4 times a week and so forth. Again, Rich and Danny, don't put whipped cream on it. You have to have enforcement. If you don't have people out there, and you can't take the state police, and you can't take MTA police, and you can't take New York City police, if you have anyone after the retirement and everyone leaving, especially right now. As you could see, there's a new law that was passed in New York City, and that will not allow an officer to put in his computer when he stops someone whether there's formal violations. And that was passed, I think, last week or whatever. But anyway, nothing is substitute for bridge and tunnel officers and believe me, you'll more than pay for it, as well as giving the summons, that's revenue, as well as getting back our tolls, and you won't have repeat violators. These people do it every day.
So
It's not once.
the other committees are going to hate me, so I'm going to try to move this along a little bit. So thank you for the questions. I hope I answered your questions. Enough for me, so I'm going to turn it over to Rich. I'll report on operations.
Thank you very much, President DiCrescenzo, and thank you, everyone, for your support. The report on operations in this month's committee materials begins on page 14. Out of vehicular crossings, B&T continued to experience strong traffic counts that were slightly above pre-pandemic levels for the first full month of autumn. Paid vehicle traffic for October of 2022 was 28.3 million vehicles, an increase of 0.9% over the 28.1 million crossings we had in October of 2021, or about 8,000 more vehicles per day, and was 15.9% higher than October of 2020, with 3.9 million more crossings for the month, or 126,000 additional vehicles per day. When compared to the pre-pandemic month of October 2019, October of this year was 0.8% higher, with approximately 7,000 more vehicles per day authority-wide. EasyPass market share was 95.2% for October of this year, which was slightly above both last year and 2 years ago. For November of 2022, preliminary B&T traffic was 0.3% higher than November of 21, 22.9% higher than November of 2020. Per preliminary traffic data, traffic for this year in November was essentially the same when compared to pre-pandemic traffic of November of 2019. Gasoline prices continue to decrease to an average of $3.73 per gallon in October of this year, and weather was not a significant factor on B&T's delivery of service. With the 2022 winter holiday season in full motion, we here at Bridges and Tunnels strive to provide safe and efficient travel for those heading out to visit family and friends in the coming weeks. As we look forward to the start of 2023 and the beginning of a brand new year, I'd like to thank my entire operations department at B&T, as well as our partner departments, for their support and coordination throughout the year. Without everyone working together, we could not do what we do. We look forward to a new year of continued safe and efficient delivery of service to our customers and wish everyone the happiest holiday season. And if there are no questions, that concludes this month's and this year's reports on operations.
Thank you, Rich. Next for the report on safety, Eric Ostis.
Thanks, Danny. The October 2022 report maintains performance metrics to be generally positive as traffic volume continues to trend toward and within pre-pandemic levels. The highlights are as follows. B&T October 2022 total collision rate was 3.92 per million vehicles, lower than rolling year of 2019-2020, representing the beginning of the pandemic period. When compared to last year, results are the same. The collision with injury rate was 0.80 per million vehicles, on par with rolling year 2019-20, but higher than last year. However, the rate is still less than 1 collision per million crossings and below the 2-year average of 0.86. Employee safety metrics for the 12-month periods are as follows. The employee lost time injury rate was 5.4 incidents per 200,000 work hours, lower than both last year and rolling year 19-20. So that concludes the safety report. Yes, sir.
So I notice every month when we look at these, and I'm guessing because it says per million vehicles, it isn't because there's just more vehicles on the Verrazano, but the highest collision rate always seems to be on the Verrazano. Is there something in the traffic movement or the layout that is contributing to the higher rate than all the other bridges or tunnels? Because it's not just more traffic, because this says per million vehicles.
Right. So it's normalized per million vehicles. We're constantly looking at the traffic patterns as well as behavior patterns that are going on in all of our assets. Right now, I would say that we're in the middle of a paradigm shift, how people are viewing work, how schedules are being modified as a result of that. And we're looking to see if there are absolute patterns that can be associated with different law enforcement strategies, different education strategies. A lot of it is just not one particular condition. Sometimes we may have a condition off property that contributes to the total collision count for that month. So it's not just one thing. It's a constant evaluation of conditions. It's a constant evaluation of change that's occurring right now on how we are looking at work and how our properties are recalibrating itself in relation to that paradigm shift.
If an accident occurs either on the Belt Parkway or the Staten Island Expressway, on the approaches to the bridge, is that considered a bridge accident?
No, that's considered off property to my understanding. So if it's to the, our property lines are very distinct, and we have an understanding of where the boundaries begin and end and how that's recorded in our statistics. Rich, if you, please, if you want to render an opinion.
No, Eric, you hit on the a lot of it's off property causing stop and go conditions on our bridges. To answer your off property, we work very well with our NYPD partners, and if on occasion we will handle an accident report, a crash report for NYPD that's close to our property line, but we do have that line of demarcation where it does get either charged to the bridge or not. But everything impacts traffic, so we always work with our regional partners to make that safer and more smooth as we consider the corridors between our facilities and between key points around the region. So we're constantly striving, constantly working on that. I just had a meeting with NYPD Highway District last week to discuss regional mobility and some improvements there. So I appreciate all of their partnership as well that they bring to the table.
So with that, there are no procurements this month for B&T. And if it's okay with you, Chair Mack, that concludes my report for B&T.
We got everyone hear me? Well, I'd like a motion to adjourn and thank everyone. And again, we'll see you next year.